so a lot of people look at their data in a lot of different ways, and these days it's all about marketing, how much money they're spending on ad spend and how much money they're getting back from it, and those kinds of things. But everybody uses it in a different way, so we don't keep people into this box of you have to, here's a report and this is what it is, right? So we allow people to flip it around, see it how they want to see it. Most people are looking at transactional data, revenue, and like I said, how much money did they spend to get the revenue and how much money is it backing out? And then we also have the ability for people to create their own widgets and dashboards and things like that and alerts where they can get sent text messages or daily emails with reports, so they don't have to even log in to see it. So with that is just comes a lot of queries that are written on the database. And then every user is different with different permissions. So there's no, you could look at one report. We could have one report that could be sliced and figured out and have to run it, 50 different ways. So challenges that we came across with some of these things is with all this flexibility, it put a big time weight on the database. And we had a lot of people talking about, queries were getting slow. And the challenges that we had too was the cost of, this is all running on a relational database in AWS. The cost of it grows with the amount of, people that are sharing the same database in a way. We're not necessarily we're not multi-tenant, but we are, multi-server with multiple tenants, I guess you would say, different schemas on the same thing. So client A could affect client B if they're running a very big query. You know, if you have client A doing $100 million a month and client B doing $100 a month, client A might be running, a year-to-date query to analyze, subscription tail and CLV. And, that might cause client B to have slow reporting. We have some clients that might have a million records of transactional data, and we have some clients that might have 500 million. As our data grew and our clientele grew, the size of our clients got bigger. MySQL couldn't handle the our analytics kind of engine at that point. So that's when we started looking around at different data lakes and things like that, and came across Firebolt. We're a CRM, so people process transactions through us. So the customers, we have, customers have subscriptions and they have sales and they have, items that were shipped to them and they have shipments and all this stuff, right? People are using us. Imagine we're just like a Shopify, but people use us over the API. Now, inside of analytics, this is where we have a lot of different types of data and people use us. People that really like analytics like to use us because of the flexibility that we give them. So for instance, I want to see how much revenue I processed today, right? So I would just come into my analytics and I'd go to today and I would see that I processed this much money, right? It's pretty simple. Now I want to say, yeah, that's great, but I want to look at it by, let's say I want to look at it by the sales channel that it came in on. I said, okay, cool. Looks like Facebook's giving me this much. But actually, you know what? I want to dig in a little bit more. I want to see, this other tracking variable I'm using. I want to see the Facebook, but what UTM medium am I getting? What tracking variable am I getting? So this is all what most marketers and most people that are in e-commerce would do, right? So the challenges that we had were, if I were to go back to the last 12 months and try and look at this data, odds are if it would be timing out. It would be taking a really long time, right? So what happens is we have all this data inside of our application, inside of our RDS. We ingest this data into Firebolt, so you can see here, I mean, this is returning in no time, right? And the reason this is returning so fast is because all of this is all coming from Firebolt. And the other things that we have on here is that we use Firebolt for is all of these widgets here. Okay. So we have widgets and counters, and you can create your own stuff. And I can say, hey, I just want a dashboard that tells me how much, how many active subscriptions do I have, right? Or how much, all this stuff that a lot of marketers would actually do. Um, but with this became a lot of challenges because you can imagine, if all of these metrics were hitting MySQL and we're looking at years worth of data and it's got millions and millions worth of rows, it's going to be really slow. And the problem is if you start slowing down the database, it could cause issues with people actually taking new orders. So the challenge that we had was figuring this out. We're not ingesting Firebolt once a day and then analyzing legacy data. Or, you know what I mean? We're not just like uploading a file worth of data and writing reports off of it. This stuff has to be as real time as possible because when you're marketing and you're spending, I mean, we have clients that'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, and there's people out there that'll spend millions of dollars a day on marketing. You can't wait. You can't be 6, 8, 12, 24 hours delayed if you're trying to figure out if the money you're spending today is panning out. So how it works is we insert all the data, and then in 30 minutes from now, we will copy all the data that we inserted. We will find anything new or updated since the last time we inserted, and then and then once it's up to date and it's validated, we delete the old data. And this job now, which used to take anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes, I mean, in most cases, we're taking about 2 minutes. And what that's done for us is the cost of Firebolt is a wash, if not even less. Like we probably pay less per month with Firebolt than we did previously because now we used to have these really large database engines to handle these queries in two phases. We used to have a large RDS just to run these advanced queries on. Because I mean, if you take a look at this, look at the amount. I mean, also I can show you some of these that the amount of metrics that we show people and give the ability to do is, some columns, some of these things have 100 different metrics on one report. So if you take 100 different metrics and multiply that out, and then you however many ways they slice and dice this thing, it's just going to keep adding on. When we were just inserting it all fresh from Glue, it was costing us like $4,000 a month. I was only able to ingest the data like 3 times a day, right? Now I don't have any Glue, AWS Glue costs, which is just that ETL kind of process, and I'm about 30 minutes delayed, so it's huge. We used to have an engine that would cache data for our dashboards, and then we had an engine that would just run reports on. Well, since we were able to get this completely dialed in with Firebolt, we were able to now we only have one engine that's a reader engine that we use for like these real-time queries. We're actually able to put that thing in half of what it was previously. So we actually save money per month using Firebolt, but get all the performance now. Like since we went to Firebolt, I have yet to hear like we'd be fighting with customers trying to figure out um, how to get these reports faster. People would start to complain, hey, I can't run this report. I got to go month at a time when I want to see 8 months and group it by month. But now I got to run it for January, then February, then March, then April, then May just to get the data. Where since we launched with Firebolt, we've had zero complaints about speed. Honestly, now people are so spoiled that like if a report it takes more than 4 seconds, they're like, hey, this report's running slow. When in the past it'd be like, that report might time out because MySQL just can't handle it. If you go to some of these other CRMs or some other places that do these transactional types of things, they handle processing, you can't get this level of data. You have to export it and put it somewhere else. You might have to use a third party system like to get the data out. You might have to export spreadsheets and put it somewhere else. And in our system, I can just continuously keep diving into the data